Now, presented in digital widescreen.
Tonight on Live at 5, Dennis Rodman goes back to North Korea. Peoria City Council is expected to be complete again tonight, and as tensions continue to rise over the conflict in Syria, a Syrian student in central Illinois is offering his perspective. Good evening. In Washington today, President Obama and his top national security team stepped up their campaign for Congress to authorize a limited military campaign against the Syrian government. And they warned if the answer from Congress is no, more chemicals and even worse weapons could be used by dictators like Syria's Assad. Steve Handelsman is on Capitol Hill tonight with the latest.
Desperate for the okay of Congress, President Obama brought leaders to the White House to sell his plan for a brief U.S. attack on Syria's government and military.
What we are envisioning is something limited. It is something proportional. It will degrade Assad's capabilities.
That plan has won over Republican House Speaker John Boehner.
This is something that the United States as a country needs to do.
Democratic leaders agree.
I will always remember those pictures of those poor children foaming at the mouth and then dying.
If we do nothing now and allow this to go on, it sends a message that chemical weapons then can be used.
Back on Capitol Hill, Secretary of State Kerry warned unless the U.S. intervenes, worse weapons might be used.
We will be creating opportunity, the opportunity for other dictators and/or terrorists to pursue their own weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear weapons.
But many in both parties are undecided.
And I still keep hearing that the objective is, well, we have to do something. That's not good enough for me at this point.
Lawmakers are getting reassurance from GOP hawks and the president.
This is not Iraq, and this is not Afghanistan.
But many fear a new U.S. war in the Middle East. Secretary of State Kerry insisted here today what he and President Obama intend does not amount to going to war in Syria. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Capitol Hill.
A local college student from Syria says he thinks it is time for the United States to get involved. 19-year-old Jade Freha is a student right now at Monmouth College. He left Syria last year. He thinks the United States could help balance the scales because what started as a revolution for freedom has escalated quickly into a national tragedy. Freya says every time the revolution advances, the government or the regime forces them back, killing hundreds of innocent people.
It's not anymore about who's gonna win. It's not anymore who's about freedom or the security or who's gonna win or who's gonna rule. It's about the innocent lives that has been taken, these sacred lives, and the children. That's what we're all concerned about.
Freya's family has been living in Algeria since September of last year, and many of his friends have now left Syria as well. He contacted the U.S. International Education Center, which directed him to Monmouth College. We'll have more of his story coming up tonight on News 25 at 6. Former Chicago Bull Dennis Rodman arrived in North Korea today for his second visit with the young leader of that country, Kim Jong-un. The trip comes days after Pyongyang rejected a visit by a U.S. envoy that hoped to bring an American missionary who's been sentenced to prison for 15 years home. Rodman did not say if he was going to try and have that missionary released. He did say it is not the purpose of his trip.
My main plan is basically to come over here to not to be a diplomat, to be a friend of the marshal and of the country of North Korea. And just to show people around the world that, you know what, that we as Americans can actually get along with North Korea.
Rodman first met Kim during a visit in February to promote basketball and to make a film. He has called Kim an awesome guy. A 19-year-old University of Illinois student is behind bars tonight after authorities say he threatened classmates while referencing the shootings at Virginia Tech. Danny Samick is charged with felony disorderly conduct and making a terrorist threat. He's being held on $250,000 bond. Samick was arrested Saturday after authorities say he repeatedly threatened other residents and made shooting gestures with his hands. Law enforcement searched his home, computer, and other property. They say they did not find any evidence that he was part of a larger plot to harm others. The Peoria City Council is expected to vote tonight on the nominee selected to fill the at-large city council seat vacated by the late Gary Sandberg. Last week, a majority of the council picked Beth Jensen out of 31 applicants. Jensen previously worked as Peoria's assistant corporation counsel. She's now a lawyer at a private firm. That council meeting begins at 6:30 tonight, while the full report coming up tonight on News 25 Nightside. Endurance swimmer Diana Nyad made history yesterday when she successfully completed her dream of swimming from Cuba to Florida without the aid of a shark cage. Today, she was still celebrating that feat at her first news conference. After swimming continuously for 110 miles and 53 hours, Nyad appeared refreshed and energetic just less than a day after arriving on the beach in Key West. The 64-year-old says her biggest challenge was overcoming high winds and swallowing large amounts of salty ocean water, which eventually made her sick.
All my life, I don't know where it came from, but I believed in dreaming big. It doesn't satisfy me to have small dreams. And I can't tell you what a big dream this is out here. It's tough stuff.
This was Nyad's 5th and final attempt at that crossing. Well, for the first time in a while, we didn't need to go for a swim out there today. Our chief meteorologist, Chuck Collins, has more on the cooler temperatures. Chuck?
Ashley, the temperatures are short-lived because we'll be, at least the cooler temperatures are, we'll be in the mid to upper 80s latter part of the week. Looks like low 90s on the weekend. If you have a pool, you still may not want to close it down just yet. Let's go outside IDOT Roadwatch Camera Network, and that's a live look at what's happening around the Bob Michael Bridge downtown. 79 at the airport, and we'll check out a comfortable 56 in the morning, mid 80s tomorrow. But once again, we're not done with the 90s yet. Unfortunately, no rain in the forecast. The drought continues as well. Your forecast details coming up in a couple of minutes, Ashley.
All right, thanks, Chuck. Just ahead on Live at 5, we preview the Heartland Festival Orchestra's upcoming season. Also ahead, we'll introduce you to a Central Illinois woman working to improve the lives of our senior citizens.
You're watching your home team at 5 with Ashley McNamee and Chief Meteorologist Chuck Collins. This is News 25 Live at 5.